So waking up with half of my face paralyzed was quite the nerve-wracking experience. I got up to go use the restroom and my cat started walking up to me and I tried to make a kissy sound at her and I couldn't make that sound with my mouth. I rushed downstairs thinking I just have a really dry mouth this morning and I grabbed some water, but the water, it dripped right down the side of my face and dribbled onto my shirt. And those are the first indications that I had that told me that something was wrong and that I needed to go to the hospital. So that's what I did. I rushed to the hospital, honestly worrying that I was having a stroke or something, and they treated it like it was that serious at first. They did some CAT scans, they rolled me out on a stretcher, and they diagnosed me with Bells Palsy. Now, like I mentioned in my last video, Bells Palsy is where half of your face is paralyzed, caused from inflammation in the facial nerve in the brain. And that can be caused by a number of things. In my case, it's caused by Lyme disease. But I keep getting asked these questions like, so how long is it going to be before you can feel your face again? Or, so what do you have to do to treat this? And I really wanted to make this video for you guys to kind of draw some connections for those of you that have never experienced anything like this before. And if you have experienced Bell's palsy or any kind of facial paralysis before, maybe you can relate to some of my symptoms. So my case in particular is a little bit different than most in the sense that it's affecting both sides of my face. It's a bilateral Bell's palsy, and the other side of my face started going the day after the right side went. So I went to the hospital 2 consecutive days. And the second time I went was really discouraging, honestly. They kind of just told me, wow, yeah, you have a really rare case of Bell's palsy. Keep taking your medication and it'll get better at some point. So living with facial palsy has been totally different. And I wanted to kind of draw out some ways in which it's impacted my day-to-day living. Like, what's harder? So the first thing is it's harder to close my eyes all the way. Like, I'll show you. Blinking is just so much slower and different, and that usually affects the side that's paralyzed. So for me, that's both sides, and a lot of people actually will tape their eyes shut to sleep so that they don't damage their eyes. In my case, I haven't had to do that because I feel like they've been closing all the way when I sleep. But it's also difficult to close my lips all the way, and for the first month, I actually had to suck my lips to get them to close. And that was pretty difficult. I'm not really having that as much anymore, but you can imagine how this has affected my communicating and my speech. Especially in a customer service industry where you're talking to people almost all day, every day. And it's just been right there in my face because everybody wants to know what's going on and what's wrong. And I'm learning to use certain words that are just easier to say, like instead of using beautiful, you can use the word amazing or just things like that. Brushing my teeth is kind of a task, just because spitting is so difficult. When you can't bring your lips back together, you're more just like brushing your teeth and drooling. Eating and drinking is a chore, only because I can't chew with my mouth closed, so it's just really annoying. And drinking water is still kind of hard. I've learned how to drink out of a straw without using my lips, so that's been the easiest way that I've found to do it without dribbling down my shirt. So let's talk about what hurts. I keep getting these questions that are centered around my ability to feel my face. And to clarify there, I haven't lost any feeling in my face, actually. I've had pains that have come with this, and they've kind of come in waves. So for the first month I was experiencing certain things, and then the second month I had different pains. But to start, the first week in the first month I was on antibiotics and steroids for the Bell's palsy, not knowing about the Lyme disease, and I was going to a chiropractor. Throughout the whole first month, I was experiencing a heavy migraine, a constant heavy migraine. And some of the things that played into that was an inner ear pain and light sensitivity. The ear pain was very similar to an ear infection if you've had one of those before. It was primarily on the side that got affected first, so my right side was affected more in the ear than the left side. And light sensitivity was another thing that was really a struggle. I'd step outside on a sunny day and it was just hard to see anything, and it's hard to keep your eyes wet enough because it's difficult to blink. My neck and jaw were also a huge factor for the first month. The muscles were just really sore, and I think I was clenching my jaw when I was sleeping, and I would find myself clenching my jaw throughout the day too, probably just because of stress and the pains, the migraine. It was just crazy. Through the second month is when I really started seeing some changes. I was on an antibiotic for treating the Lyme disease, as well as seeing an acupuncturist at this time, and I was no longer having any inner ear pains. The migraines were really going away, and what I was seeing now was more like muscle soreness in smaller muscle groups. So along the eyebrows were really tender and sore, and I think that the acupuncture was stimulating some of those nerves and helping that. Along the scalp, really sore. The cheekbones are sore. The chin muscle down here, even the upper lip was kind of tender. And I'm still feeling a little bit of the muscle soreness on my face, but that really didn't come until the second month. And I think that that's because my muscles on my face haven't been used for so long that they're starting to atrophy. And through the acupuncture and the stimulation of those nerves, they're trying to fire, and it's just sore muscles because they haven't been used for so long. Another thing that I've been noticing is some hypertension, and I think I'm using the right term for this, but if I put pressure on a certain muscle group and then release, after I release that pressure, it starts responding to that touch with a cramp, like a Charlie horse, and it's very uncomfortable, and right now I can feel it. I don't think it's visible anymore. It's more prominent throughout the second month. But yeah, that was a really weird symptom that I was experiencing. Through about month, like 2.5 to 3, now that's kind of where I'm at right now, I'm starting to see some actual visible progress, which is really reassuring. Like, I'm able to smile. Just a little bit on the one side that went first. When it comes to healing, having a good mindset is so important. And I've really been trying to focus on the positives and really look at the ways in which this is just helping me grow as a person. Personally, this whole experience has forced me to have more patience with myself and learn patience with everything. And, you know, you really have no idea how long it's going to take for nerves to regenerate. When you're experiencing palsy, it could be a couple weeks, it could be a month or a year, and just being okay with that and giving your body the love and the attention and the care that it needs to heal and grow is, I think, the first step when it comes to healing. Paying closer attention to what kind of foods I'm consuming has been another thing that this has kind of forced me to look at, primarily because I'm fighting much more than just Bells Palsy. I'm also fighting a disease. I really have to watch what foods I'm eating and how they impact my body, how my body's responding to the things that I'm putting into it. Overall, I feel like this has really taught me to be a more mindful communicator, just because it's a lot more difficult to communicate certain sounds and certain words and to express emotion through facial expression. I've kind of had to find other routes to do that. Like with my body language and my posture, I've been a lot more mindful with that, and also with which words I'm choosing to use to actually get my message across, especially since people are having a hard time understanding if I'm in a good mood or if I'm in a bad mood, or, you know, what is it that I'm actually trying to say. I've been taking a lot more time to just process what I'm going to communicate before actually communicating that. If you have facial paralysis or anything similar, I would love to hear from you so that I can support you in your healing journey as well. Or if you'd like me to elaborate a little bit more on some of the symptoms that I'm experiencing, or maybe some of the things that I'm doing to help heal, drop me a comment in the comment box or send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. This is what it's like living with facial paralysis.